and when his town needed him most, he was ready to give it all. His name was Hushov, and his only ally one night was a little water sprite. Now in the Old Norse they're called Veyeta if they're female, and Veyeter if they're male. And this is a female sprite, a Veyeta, who commands the Veyetafoss, the waterfall of the sprite. How can she help one man defend her town? Let's find out in Hushov's saga. Right by the bridge at Munninsdal, torrents of water flow. They gush forth from a spring, then batter the rocks below. But long ago the waterfall was barely a wet stream, and in it lived a kind Veyeta who'd dance and splash a gleam. She loved all the townsfolk, but her heart sang most fair for a tall, rugged, handsome jarl named Hushov who lived there. One evening the jarls of Munninsdal had too much to drink. As they raised their horns to victory, just one stopped to think that other foes might be nearby. The vigilant Hushov. Alert, ready, he stood proud. The white watched the jarl she loved. His eyes narrowed as he saw outlaws on the fjord's other side. As he readied himself for the fight, her heart swelled with pride. Hushov gazed upon the foe as they marched along the ridge, and knew the only place he could hold was Munninsdal Bridge. The white made the water speak, flowing beside his shield hand, and sang to him, "The bridge, Hushov, is where you'll make your stand. Only there can you protect our town on our bridge of stone. There you will conquer or die, and you must do it alone." Hushov, that wise, valiant fighter, listened to the sprite. His heart was glad that it would be his friend through the black night. The town's other jarls, indisposed, lay drunk in the great hall. Only Hushov had been prepared to answer Odin's call. He grabbed all his throwing spears and slung his shield o'er his back. With his axe in his right hand, he ran to meet the attack. He knew the long bridge over the fjord was dangerous ground. From the ridge on the far side, archers were clear to fire down. But Hushov was determined to at least force a delay. With a hail of his throwing spears, he would make their flesh pay. As he lay down, concealed behind a stone, hugging the earth, he told the stone, "They will not defile the land of my birth." Hushov tapped the stone with his axe to awaken the gods, and swore an oath that he would fight, no matter what the odds. Outlaw archers took position high on the other side, as 6 of their fastest crossed the bridge, reckless in their pride. Hushov waited until the scouts had crossed over the span. Then he rose to his feet and attacked, one spear in each hand. He flung them in Viking style, let his target by a stride. 2 sharp-pointed shafts pierced the night air, flying side by side. His target did not have the time to even turn his head. Both spears drove through the outlaw's chest. He fell already dead. The second man tried to yell till a spear passed through his neck. With one thrust, Hushov reduced the third to a dying wreck. The three left were now on their guard. But where had their foe gone? If they had known who they were against, they would have withdrawn. But they tried to hold their ground as one gave a warning shout to warn the rest of his band an enemy was about. He gurgled as an axe helped his head leave his shoulders behind. The other two turned and lunged. Nothing. They were fighting blind. The first tapped the second's shoulder and whispered, "Let's retreat." Instead, he felt a sharp point, his friend's flesh reduced to meat. "Enough of this!" he cried as he fled the bridge in full flight. As he ran, he heard Hushov's laughter echo through the night. "Ha ha ha! Is that the best you can muster? I fear that just won't do. Perhaps your captain should send an extra dozen or two." Hushov thundered, "Send me your best, then your attack renew. Perhaps if you had some real jarls, you could fight your way through." Barely were his words shouted, then arrows began to fall. So he jogged back to the falls near the gate in the town wall. He reached o'er the precipice, let the water wet his hand, and said, "I hope, Veyeta, you'll help me today if you can." He felt the water warm to his touch. She would be his aid. He thought, "I wonder what advantage you'll give for my blade." If they would attack rashly, he could exploit their miscues. What did he have to offer them that they could not refuse? As he looked at the wall, he grinned. There stood his biggest bait. He leaned against the wooden beams and pushed open the gate. Outlaws arrived with their archers, still on the other side. Without their support, there was hope. So he began to chide. "The city gate is wide open, as you can plainly see." Laughing with scorn, he cried, "Ha ha! There's no one to stop you but me! But you must know this. I will fight as long as I can last." He sneered as he said, "Do you think you can force your way past?" The first outlaws looked at each other, then let out a cheer, thinking that with only one man to beat, their way was clear. The two men on his left flank he fended off with his shield, while dispatching one on his right, the others backwards reeled. Others came forward with a rush, each crouched behind his shield. But his axe stopped them cold when they saw the sad Veyeta's unremitting tears. And if a hail fellow with piercing eyes drinks from its flow, he might get a warm splash if he looks like one we all know. Hail, Hushov. We are indeed fortunate to have right here to my right Sir Hrothgar, who is a member of the Guard of the Open Gate. And that very gate that Hushov once defended, and Thorfinn, is now defended by Hrothgar and his kin, and it is in the sim of Two Ravens, if you would ever like to go visit it. It's quite a place. All the things that are in the poem are in that place, and you can go visit them. You can stand on the bridge where he held. And whenever you cross over the Veata Foss, always give a nice little cheerful word for the Veata that lives in there today. Well, folks, this has been a wonderful summer being able to bring you these poems and stories, and to help bring to you the liveliness, the vigor, the beauty, and the cruelty of our wonderful world of lore. So I will see you back here in early October. Hopefully I'll have some new poems written, certainly a lot more of my novel that's underway. I intend to take several big thick notebooks, and I hope that they have adequate pens in New Zealand. I'm sure they do. They must have writing instruments. Anyway, I'll write some and watch some rugby and drink some beer for you all. And if I can find some mead, I understand that New Zealand mead is very good. I'll give that a shot too. So folks, until we meet again, I thank you very much for being my patrons, for coming and supporting the arts here in Gore. And until the next time,